guys, welcome to the first official episode of This and Yap from Crime to Chaos. And today, this is the Noah Bush case. This is a case that is very close and personal to me, not just because I live in Jessup, Georgia, but because I have had the absolute honor of becoming very close with Noah's mother, Demetrice, and Noah's family. When I say that this tragedy could not have happened to a more loving, amazing family, I mean that from the absolute bottom of my heart. For those that don't know, Noah Bush was a lively, funny, energetic, athletic 8-year-old boy in Jessup, Georgia, whose life ended far too soon at the hands of two juveniles, aged 10 and 11. This was a juvenile on juvenile hate crime. And while this sounds like a case that should have shook the nation, it barely made it out of the walls of Jessup, Georgia. Noah's story deserves to be told and heard and spread far and wide. Today you'll be hearing from Demetrice, Noah's mother. This episode is going to be broken into 2 parts. Today we're going to be learning all about Noah, and then we will get into his disappearance. The clips that you'll be hearing today are raw, emotional, and real. They're a story only a grieving mother can tell. This is Noah's story. Dee, I want to take the time to thank you for being here with me today. I know this isn't easy for you, and I just really appreciate you doing this. The first question I want to ask you is, what was Noah like at home and school and with his friends?
The joy in the house, the comedian, the go-getter, especially when it came to sports. He'd set a goal to see how many baskets he can sink on his basketball goal, and he would continue going until he reached that mark. And if he missed one, he'd just start all the way over. Sometimes I used to have to make him come in the house for dinner and showers because he was not going to give up. He was going to continue to go and go and go until he reached that goal. His spirit was everything. His humor was, oh my gosh, undescribable. He truly made the house a home. At school, he had plenty of friends. They enjoyed playing basketball together, just running around and playing and talking and telling their stories about what they would be when they grew up and the things that they like to do or the things that they have done. He was just an all-around great person.
Dee, how would you describe Noah's personality to someone who had never met him before?
Noah had a wonderful personality. He was sweet, he was kind and loving. He was a protector, a defender. He believed in standing up for what was right and defending his friends against people that would bully or be mean to them. It didn't matter if you were different from him. He treated everybody the same, you know. He just wanted to be a friend to everyone. He truly gave me my flowers while he was here. He made me feel like a queen. He was smart, athletic, funny, just a joy to be around. Anybody that has met him will never forget him. And I try to tell his story as much as I can through social media posts mostly. But it's not the same as knowing him on a personal note. He was a great kid.
What's one of your favorite memories with Noah that makes you smile anytime you think of it?
I have so many memories that I live through every day. Some are not so good, you know, because I relive May 15th over and over and over again every time I climb out of bed. But there are the good memories, like his first time trying to bowl. He was such a little boy, and everybody was bowling. It was his older brother's birthday, my middle son. And so he was too little to bowl the bowling ball. He was only like a year old. And he took his baby bottle and he was rolling it down the bowling alley, and I just thought it was too adorable. And then there was the time we were in the Walmart parking lot, and he was so serious. He was like, "Look, it's Kevin Garnett," and I'm like, "He do kind of look like him, but that is definitely not that man." And then there was the time that he was playing football. He was new to it, flag football, and Steven had gotten him a Gatorade, his dad, and he told him that this is the super juice and it makes you very, very fast. And so Noah drank the Gatorade, and he was just running and running and running and running all across the field. And when he got done, he told Steven, "Hey, I need some more of that juice because it made me supersonic fast." And so from that point on, he was my supersonic. It was the day that I got out of the shower and he had drawn all over my mirror with soap and hair gel and everything. And I was almost upset, and he was like, "Mommy, I drew this picture for you." So that kind of just melted me. Like, you can't be upset when he's drawing a picture for you. This is too adorable. So there's so many memories that I have just stored in my brain. And a lot of those memories do help me get through the day. They help me function sometimes on the hardest days. I just try to remember the good stuff, us playing horse outside at the basketball goal as a family, or going to play kickball at the park, playing video games, or turning on music and just jamming. None of us had rhythm, but he would take the floor and just dance and dance and dance. And oh my gosh, it was just an amazing time. It was such an amazing life, and I enjoyed every single moment of it. There was this one time I asked him to lotion my feet, and he went to lotion them, and I have some rough feet, I'm not gonna lie. And he was like, "Mama, your feet are so ashy, I can't get it off." And I couldn't do anything but laugh because he was so serious, like the look on his face. Or the time that he had a hole in his sock, and I asked him how the hole got in the sock, and he said that his brother put the hole in his sock. And I'm like, boy, you are a mess. Like, just watching him grow, it was a wonderful experience, and I am so sad that it had to end.
Dee, what did Noah dream of being when he grew up?
Noah wanted to be so many different things when he grew up. And at that age, it's one of those things where you just explore to figure out what you want to be and what you want to do. I mean, he was only 8. One of the things he wanted to be was a YouTuber. So he would make videos on my phone of him dancing and talking. He also wanted to be a rhino. So
A rhino?
But his biggest goal was to be a great football player. He loved basketball. He definitely wanted to dunk. That was something that was high up on his list. He was going to be 7 feet tall, and he was going to dunk on all the stars. But football was his passion. It's what he practiced for all year long, every year, because he wanted to be great at it. He idolized Justin Jefferson. And honestly, when he first brought him up to us, we had no clue who Justin Jefferson was. I had never heard of him. But he started to tell us his stats and how amazing he was, and he was the best player, and he wanted to be just like him. And so we started looking into Justin Jefferson, and honestly, Noah was onto something. Like, he knew that Justin would be a great football player, and he wanted to be just like him. So he just started to mimic him on the field, dancing, whatever. But out of all the things that he wanted to be, I know that a football player was at the top of the list. He told me, "Mama, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to buy you a big old house," and I'm going to take good care of you, because he was just that loving child. At the end of it all, no matter what he did or what he was aspiring to be, he wanted to take care of his mama. He was a mama's boy, and he loved me beyond words. He truly did. And I'm so saddened that I don't get to see him grow up and become everything that he wanted to be, or do the things that he wanted to do. He had goals and dreams and ambitions. And I know that he would have been an amazing man, an amazing husband, and an amazing father, because he had a heart of gold. He was so loving and kind, and hugs meant everything to him. It's like going to his school. Everybody knows Noah. All the custodians and principals and teachers, everybody knew it. They knew how much he loved sports and how much he loved family and family time. So I would say when he grew up, he just wanted to be a really, really good person to people. And of course, be a football star.
So this all started May 15th, 2024. What can you tell me about that day?
May 15th, 2024 started out as any ordinary day. The kids are off at school. I get up, I get the baby situated. She was only 2 at the time. And then I get logged into my computer and I get to work. I work from home. I felt like it was more convenient for me and the kids to actually be at home. That way, when Noah's bus came, someone's there, you know. Nothing about that day told me or showed me that anything bad was gonna happen. Like, I never foresaw anything bad about it. The sun is beaming, just pretty bright, and you know, it was just a ordinary Wednesday. I took a break around 2:45 to unlock and open the front door and open my blinds because Noah's bus normally arrives at 3:15. So at 3:15, I'm looking out the blinds, and just on schedule, here's the bus, and he hops off and starts coming towards the house. But then he turns around, and in my mind, I'm thinking, like, what is he doing? He was grabbing the trash can. We had 2 trash cans. His job was to grab one on his way home, and then when the second bus route came through, his older brother would grab the other trash can. So I can hear him pulling the trash can up the road. I still hear that sound in my ear, like, daily. And then suddenly the sounds of the trash can stop, which means he had parked it into the place where it belonged. And this was actually the first time I didn't have to remind him to grab it. He comes in the house, and on this particular day, he actually announced himself, "Mom, I'm home." And that was a bit unusual because he never does that. Normally it's me hollering out when I hear the door close, and I'm like, "No, is that you?" But he proceeds to come into my room, and he's going through his backpack, and he pulls out his field day shirt and he tosses it to me, and he says, "Hey, I got to wear this to school tomorrow for field day." And I was like, "Boy, field day is not tomorrow, it is Friday." And so we both shared a laugh. And he proceeded to go on into the front room to wait on the second bus route to come through with his siblings on it. With them being teenagers, he was able to go outside at that point and play in the yard. That was the rule. Once they were home and they were able to see after him while I worked, then he was able to play in the yard. So nothing weird that I can think of occurred in that little bit of time. So as the day goes on, I go on my break, and my husband has already made it home from work. And I asked, where's Noah? And him and my daughter both said, well, you just missed him. He just walked out of the house. He's playing with his friend. He just went to his friend's house. So I didn't really think too much about it. This is a kid he's played with for the past 2 years that we've lived in this neighborhood. They've played at my house. They've played at his house. They've eaten snacks and pizza at my house and laid in his room and watched YouTube on his tablet or played the video game with him. So I didn't think too much into it. Around 5:30, I started getting this weird sickening feeling like to my stomach, and my head is just like swimming just all of a sudden. And I just contributed that to my diabetes and high blood pressure. I've been battling with those issues for a while now, and it just felt like that was the case. And so after work, I did take a shower and I laid down a bit. And I asked again, where's Noah? Because it's starting to get a little later in the day. And Noah's one of those kids that run in and out of the house all day, and he's not doing it today. And my husband reminded me, he went over to play with his friend. So I didn't really stress too much about it. And I wish I had. Because even though it was something that he normally did, it didn't raise any red flags to me. So I'm laying there, and it's starting to get a little later in the afternoon, and I'm like, okay, Noah's not home. And I sent his brother, go get him. Tell him to get his butt to this house. I'm thinking that maybe, time just got away. He's just having a lot of fun. And my son, he goes out. He's gone for a little while, and he comes back, and he was like, I can't find him anywhere. I was like, what do you mean? He's supposed to be at his friend's house. And he says, well, they say that they haven't seen him and that his friend has been home since like 5:30. So now, a little bit of panic is starting to arise. And I hop up and I start searching. Me and my household, we go out, we start searching. And the first place we go is actually to the friend's house. And they're feeding us the story about they haven't seen him, or he's over here at this other person's house. And I'm like, something's not adding up. Now panic has really set in, because where is my child? He came to play with you, and now he's gone. And then most of the day after that was a bit of a blur, because I just felt so lost and confused. Like, where could he be?
Is there a specific point in time where you just realized something was totally wrong?
When we went over to the friend's house and we're inquiring about Noah, and he's telling us, oh, he's at this other kid's house. And I'm like, Noah doesn't have a friend by that name. You're basically the only person out here that he plays with, because by this time, the neighborhood is pretty much emptied out of kids. When we first moved out there, our yard would look like a playground at a school. Kids were everywhere. And over time, families started to move away, and it basically just left him and this one 10-year-old friend to play together. So they played together a lot. So once my middle son, his older brother, he joins us in the search. It's already me and my husband and my son and his girlfriend and my middle daughter out looking for Noah. We're walking around the neighborhood. And so we bring up the name to my son, who is this? Where does this person live at? And he was like, Noah doesn't have a friend by that name, but I do. And he lives right here. Well, where he lives is right next door to Noah's friend. He doesn't live across the street where you've had us go and search. So now it's really this sinking feeling in me, in my stomach, like something's not right here. Why is he lying? And why is the mother acting like I can't talk to him all of a sudden? You've let this boy come and sit up in my house all this time. I've come to your house I don't know how many times to pick my son up, if we have to go to town or whatnot. And today everybody's acting a little odd and standoffish. When they first became friends, I went over, I met his mother, I exchanged phone numbers with her. She told me, he's safe here. This is a safe space for him. He's in good hands. And I told her the same. When your son's at my house, it's a safe place. So we've gone around and we're looking. We're calling out his name. We jump into my son's girlfriend's car, and we start to drive around now instead of walking in the immediate area. And we go all the way back towards the clay pit. I didn't know that the clay pit was actually as large as it was. So we were only on the first part of it. And we're calling out his name. And I'm panicking. I'm crying. And I'm like, I got to call the police. And I don't have my phone. I did not realize I left the house without a phone. Because my mind was set on, let me go find Noah and get him to this house. It's starting to get dark now out here and he's still not home, so something's definitely not right. We've searched, we've knocked on doors, and we can't find him anywhere. So the next course of action would be to call the authorities because I need help in locating my child. I don't know if he's somewhere hurt, if he's been kidnapped, or what's going on, but I know that I can't find him, and it's stressing me out. So my son's girlfriend hands me her phone, and I call 911 and I report my son missing, because at this point I see him nowhere. I know he's not hiding anywhere. I know that there's no other friends for him to be out here really playing with, and with the family at the house where he was supposed to be acting weird all of a sudden, like in a way they've never acted before. I knew that something was terribly wrong. Now, did I think that my son was dead? No. I thought maybe he was just hurt somewhere and he couldn't get home. And I told my husband that. I was like, the only way Noah wouldn't be home is if he can't come home. He does not like being out in the dark. He would have been in the house before the dark, So when I sent my middle son to get him, it's still daylight outside and he can't find him. And when we first leave the house to go searching, it's still daylight. But after walking around and searching, now it's dark outside, and I've gone back and forth to the house to check to see if maybe he popped up, but there's still no sign of him. And I'm like, yeah, we need help out here because something is wrong, and I'm in fear, that somebody has my child, or maybe he broke his leg or something. He fell somewhere and he can't get up, or I don't know. Just so many things go through your mind when your child is missing. Like, it's one of the most heartbreaking experiences ever, is to not know where your kid is, especially when you're a full-time parent and you're used to being with your kid all the time. Not knowing where they are is a terrifying feeling.
Dee, what do you want people to understand about that day and what you went through as a mother?
What I want people to understand about that day is there was nothing that crossed my mind from the time it started that anything like this would have ever occurred to me. This is stuff that happens on TV, not to people like me. You know what I mean? I've always been a full-time mother and tried to be the best mother I could to my kids as a single mother. And it wasn't an easy task. I want people to understand that when you have these sickening feelings, this feeling in your gut, that something is wrong, you act on it then. That is intuition. I wasn't sick because of my medical conditions. It was intuition. And had I acted then instead of pushing it to the side as a medical issue, my son would probably still be alive to this day. People need to understand that I went above and beyond to search for my child. I didn't just let him be missing. No, I walked the streets. I sat outside all night long in the cold, waiting to hear back from the officers, because I wasn't allowed to go. The search dogs were out picking up his scent, and because we all lived in the same house, we weren't allowed to go with them. A lot of weird things occurred throughout this night. Stuff that I didn't really pay attention to at the moment that it was happening, because my only goal was to bring Noah home, and I will figure out the rest later. It's just get him home. People don't understand the guilt that you feel, the pain that you feel, because you feel like you let your child down. He came home that day. He was happy. He was energetic. He was my same little Noah. He had no idea that he would be betrayed. I had no idea that he would be betrayed. I thought that it was okay for him to play with his friends. I didn't know that allowing him to be a kid would take his life. I shut down, collapsed. Inside, I was just screaming and screaming and screaming, because why is this happening? Life for me has never been easy. It's always been a difficult road to travel, and I've battled through so much. And now that I have this great family life and everybody's happy, tragedy strikes, and I lose one of the most important people in my life. My child that brought me so much joy and peace and laughter and hope. As a mother, I live with guilt, and I will live with that guilt for the rest of my life. It does not go away overnight. The pain doesn't go away overnight. To stand there in the middle of a road in the cold night, still trying to hold on to hope. It was the most painful experience of my life. And I am still suffering, trying to get through one day at a time for my family. Noah meant the world to me. And to know that somebody would bring harm to him just because of who he was or the color of his skin. It's sickening. When he was such a good person, he was too trusting, because he thought that his friend was truly his friend, and he wasn't. And as a mom, I guess I should have seen these signs. I should have known. But I don't know how I would have known.
because they played together so good. They got along so good. I watched them play together. And I never would have thought that he would be a part of my son's demise. So, please understand what this has done to me and to my family. Please understand that we have not moved forward because a part of our lives are gone. I am forever changed. I will never be who I was. I can never go back to who I was or the life we had. Now I spend days out at the cemetery crying because in that dirt lies my 8-year-old son who never gets to grow up. And I don't know how I've made it this far, but I keep trying to push because I know he would want me to. That day broke me. And I have to live with that memory, all those memories, all that fear and hurt for the rest of my life. I wake up in a panic every morning. Most nights I don't sleep. I pace from room to room because I don't know how to shut my brain off. Like, it doesn't stop. Memories and his voice are always in my head. It has destroyed me in my heart.
I'm just so sorry, Dee. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Next week we're going to pick up right where we left off, starting at May 16th when Noah was recovered. Dee, thank you so much again for doing this, being vulnerable and sharing your story. I know it is not easy to do, but Noah's story has to be told. Thank you guys so much for joining in and listening. Until next time, remember the stories, remember the voices, and remember the lives behind the headlines. Bye.